Okay, so let's get started. Thank you everyone for coming, and then this is going to be posted on YouTube just so everyone knows. Yeah, so thank you, and thank you, Phipp, for joining us and for being our Store of the Month winner. Woohoo!
Thank you both for having
Um,
me.
yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get started. So hard-hitting questions. First one, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself for those who are listening?
Yeah, so my screen name is Phipp. I am a fantasy primarily author. I just really there's something about that genre that I really love. Um, I have not been writing for a super long time. Um, when I was a kid, I was always interested in reading and writing, but actually making a serious attempt at trying to do something, it's only been about a year. Um, and even within that time, most of that time has just been spent editing and like revising and going over the same kind of stuff. So I'm pretty new to everything, but I'm I'm happy with the progress I've made in this time, and hopefully I'll have something more coming out as part of this short story anthology soon.
Oh, amazing. I mean, I'm also a new writer as well, and I also write fantasy, so we're in good company.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But you mentioned a little bit that you're a new writer, but how long have you been writing?
Yeah, so only about a year of like making serious attempts. When I was in high school, I was always good with essays, good with words. Um,
Mm.
it came pretty naturally to me on that end of things, but any attempts that I had made at fiction or anything like that, there was something that wasn't clicking for me.
Mm.
I'm still not sure what it was, but there was something that was clicking incorrectly, and I just could not make it flow in any way that made sense. Couldn't make things long enough. So I kind of never really tried more seriously.
Yeah.
And then I was talking with my now wife last year, and I was like, I'm just gonna try again. Why not? And
Yeah.
it felt much more like, okay, actually, I think I get how this is supposed to work. Um, and from there, I've been fiddling around since.
Oh, amazing.
That's so cool. So, what would you say, like, what or who inspired you to like pick up writing more in that aspect?
Um, as far as encouragement, my wife definitely has always been my number one. Like, you can do it. You just got to do it.
Aw.
Mm.
Um, she is wonderful. I love her. Thank you, Annie. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, I she encourages me to do the things that she and I know that I want to do, but I, for whatever reason, am reluctant to actually try, you know?
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is your wife a writer herself, or
Um,
at all?
no, she isn't. She's an avid reader, so
Oh,
she
nice.
has
Love that.
been my most helpful critic with going through and editing and everything. I trust her opinion 120% through and through. So I know that if
Aw.
she's saying, "Hey, maybe you should change this," I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, okay, you're probably right."
Oh, that's amazing. Our partners and
Good to
our
have.
the people in our lives just help. I find, I find that.
Yeah,
Um,
No,
absolutely.
absolutely.
yeah.
My kitty cats too. They like to keep me company when I'm researching or making notes or actually drafting stuff out.
It's a very important
It
part of
was
the
such a
process.
comfort. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Um. So your wife is an avid reader. Are you yourself? Do you have any favorite authors?
Yeah, so I take the most inspiration by far, I think, from George R. R. Martin. I know that's a
Okay.
very standard answer now, but there's something specific about the way he weaves like myths from all over the world together into his narrative that makes it feel like it is itself a mythos. It's very, very interesting. I really love that aspect of his writing specifically.
Yeah.
That's my big, like, if I can write a 10th as good as this, I will be happy, kind of deal. But
So
also Frank Herbert, Dune, and then what is his name? I read these books when I was very young, and I think they pushed me down the line into fantasy. Christopher Paolini's Aragon series. Loved those books.
Oh, my brother really liked that one. Yeah. I've not read it myself, but it's got
no, me
dragons in it, right?
neither. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that right?
I've been meaning to reread them for years now.
I love a book with a dragon. Um, let's get into your story. Tell us about In Their Final Days.
Yeah, so the plan for it, it's going to be a short story anthology, a series of vignettes over the course of a large-scale conflict between the Empire of Grand Karnath and some various breakaway states that used to be subject to them but no longer are. So in the Grand Karnath's reattempt to reconquer these lost territories, we'll be seeing a bunch of different one day in the life of a bunch of different people at all levels of, social status, monetary wealth, and how the conflict has affected them personally, just for that one day of their life.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's really interesting.
Do you take real world examples, or is there something else that inspired you to write this story and this group of not group these stories, these vignettes?
Yeah,
I think you call them.
Yeah, so in part, I have read, there was one book in particular that when I read, I really loved, called The Things They Carried. It's a series of vignettes. I think it was assigned to me as like a high school reading list kind of thing. But it's a series of vignettes in the form of letters sent home from the Vietnam War.
Oh,
And it was really interesting. That kind of approach is something that I have not seen done in the fantasy genre. Even stories that focus more on the average person as opposed to the like major player, kings and knights and lords and all that kind of stuff. It seems like often it's a small person doing a very big thing in like Tolkien, or very big people doing very little petty things, like in A Song of Ice and Fire. And I want to my approach is at least like break that a little bit. There are little people doing big things, big people doing little things, and every mixture of percentages in between, because at the end of the day, everyone is a person. And they're doing the things that they think based on their history are best.
Yeah.
In that moment.
That's so true.
Yeah, and we want to kind of get a look at those people in that one day.
So like everyone's their own main character sort of vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if I pull it off well, which no guarantees, but if I pull it off well, you'll also get the story of the conflict as a whole, in the background of these vignettes. Like throughout it, you should be able to piece together kind of the timeline of events, what's happening on the larger scale, all that kind of stuff.
That sounds so like realistic. I don't know how to put it into words, but like it feels very much like real life. Like everything's going on in the background, but everyone's got their own lives and their own problems and their own things going on. I like that a lot.
Yeah, me
Thank
too.
you.
And you've got like this micro and this macro all happening simultaneously,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Mm.
Is there like a message that you wanted to convey through this story, through these like vignettes? Is there something, a broader message that you wanted to convey?
Yeah, so on a chapter by chapter level, you know, I want to address themes around the topics of, you know, family. Obviously, in my first and in a later chapter, we'll see a character with like intellectual disabilities, um, and kind of contrasting the way society and other people view them versus the way they view themselves, the way they move through the world as their own person, not as they relate to somebody else.
Mhm.
Things like, you know, the mundanity of life when it is bumped up against something as horrific, as catastrophic, and as wide-reaching as like a very wide-scale conflict. We're seeing that kind of stuff pretty frequently around the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think at least in one of these vignettes, somebody somewhere is going to be able to relate to each of the characters. At least one of
Oh,
them.
yeah. And that's what you want to do when you're writing. You want to reach people and help them maybe process things that are going on in their own lives. And that's what we do as readers. We we read these stories and just they mean things to us. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Um in regards to your characters, is there a story of one of them or a few of them that are your favorite? And is there one that's maybe not your favorite? Like, do you like them?
Yeah. Yes. So right now, the only chapter that is complete to a point where I'm comfortable, like, okay, this is something I can share, get some good feedback on, all that kind of stuff, is the chapter that has been that was selected for the story of the month.
Mhm.
It follows Aeld, an old man from the little village of Talltree in the kingdom of Var, one of those previously conquered, unconquered territories that we were talking about.
Oh,
He's lived there for his whole life. His grandmother, his great grandmother, who he calls Grey Gran, lived in she was taken as a child slave, for lack of a better word, from her home a very long way away.
Mm.
Um, so his relationship with her is very, very important in that chapter. He thinks very fondly of his time with her, thinks about how her relationship to him has impacted his relationship with his own son and his grandson. Um, the thinks about all of the different regrets that he has, the things that he did wrong. And right now, just because of the amount I've thought about him and his son Atholf and his grandson Horsk, they are the characters that I'm most attached to right now.
Oh,
Where
thank you.
did you come up with the names?
Old English. I took names
Okay.
that I thought were character appropriate. Um, for example, I went pretty straightforward with it. If you were to like Google it and what it means in Old English, I went pretty even keel. Like for example, Aeld is literally just the Old English word for old. He's an old guy. It thematically it fit his character, and the
Right.
vibe that you get from that name, in my mind, kind of feels like the vibe of an old guy. So it worked out perfectly for me.
That's really cool. I like finding out how people come up with their names because it's always just an interesting um path and where they decided to get the name from and what it means. And I do like when names have like a almost like a not a hidden meaning, but it says something about the character itself. It's not just a name, if you know what I mean.
No,
Um,
absolutely. I feel the
yeah.
exact same. For some of the other cultures, so like for the Varic culture that Aeld and Horsk and Atholf and their kin come from. The names are derived from Old English. Gregram is not from this place. She is from a long way away. And so her name has a separate linguistic inspiration, which is part of the reveal at the end of the chapter. And then in the Empire of Grand Karnath, we see a lot of Greek-derived names.
Okay, that's really cool. So with these vignettes, do you ever experience writer's block? And if so, how do you get through that process?
Yes, so I have tried to rewrite the Horsk chapter like 6 times now. It's just not coming out the way I want it to. I think I've finally settled on the way I want to go with it. But my solution has been primarily to read more about mythology that I've already connected to the character. Even just rereading stories that I'm aware of is very helpful with, like, okay, maybe I could do something with that. Maybe I could do something with that. Okay, this doesn't really line up at all. I'm going to have to change this completely. And just doing that until something pops into my mind that might work, and then just write as if it will work. And then if it doesn't, I can always start over. But if it does, now I'm on the train. Now I'm choo along.
Absolutely. I mean, the hardest point is getting something on the page. You can always edit it later. All my first drafts are terrible, so, but I can work with them because there's something there. So.
Exactly. You can't fix what doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Oh, such a good way to put it.
Yeah. So writer's block is obviously a part of creative process. It's unavoidable. But is there any other part that you find harder or easier?
Dialogue kills me.
Oh.
I don't know what it is, because theoretically, like, I understand what I need to do to make the dialogue feel real, to feel good. Conceptually, I know these things.
Ooh.
When I actually go to try and write it, it just doesn't, something in my brain misfires, and I'm like, yes, I will do that, and it will be very good that I will do that, and then we will go on our way. Yippee. And it's just, it doesn't come out the way I want it to, ever. I have to redraft it. The most notes that I feel like, the dialogue makes me want to stop writing a particular chapter at times.
I feel the same way about descriptions. So I just put little placeholders everywhere, like, do this better next time.
Yeah, that's my current, like, work chapter has a bunch of notes from like, me and my wife on the side of it, just like, okay, I'm pretty sure we can fix this.
Well, yeah.
So when you're doing your creative process, when you're starting or whatnot, do you do plot first? Do you do characters or something different? Like, where do you start?
For me, I always start with the characters first. At the risk of sounding pretentious, because I'm using the same description that George R. R. Martin uses, I prefer the, like, gardener approach to character writing. So what I do first is I'll build up a start character that I like. Has the background that I'm looking for, the ideas of the character that I want to write. Build that all up as thoroughly as I can, up to the point where the chapter is going to start for them. And then I kind of just fiddle around, for lack of a better word, until some initial event happens. And then I try to run with that for as long as I can and just see how the character interacts with these situations as they pop up, based on what I've put together for them. As I go through it, there will be new ideas that popped up, and I'll go back and I'll rewrite some of it. But the plot is very minimally planned out. I just want to see the character reacting to the situation, and their reactions are going to indicate what's going to happen next for the most part.
That's interesting. And so, would you say that there was one character that was easier for you to write to plot first, like to come up with that character's thoughts and feelings?
Um, Honestly, I'm going to go with Eld again.
Okay.
I think part of him being the first character that I fully like fleshed out
Hmm.
made like I wasn't worrying about things as much with it. I was just like, yeah, let's do this and let's do that and let's see if it works this first time through. Um, and things just kind of felt right with his
Mm,
personality, right? I like I spend a lot of time thinking about like my familial relationships and things that happened to me before and stuff. I like to do the whole navel gazing thing, and just listen to myself think. So writing somebody who is also like in a position where there's not really much to do except think, um, he's just thinking a lot, and it was easy to put that down on the page as a first draft before going back and fixing it and making it more presentable, for lack of a better word.
yeah, no, it makes sense. Um, okay, so before we start moving on to our last question, I want to open it up to audience questions. So if anyone who's listening in has any questions, just start writing them in the chat, and we will get to them one by one. Ask Fifth all the things. And yeah, we'll start looking at those in a few minutes.
Oh, I can see people typing. So, while we wait for our listeners, I'll ask a really fun question. So, Phipp, if you were to pitch your work for an adaptation, would it be for film or TV, and who would you cast?
I think TV, just the vignette format would probably
Mm,
lend itself better to TV.
That's what I was
Um,
thinking, yeah.
and then as far as casting, I really don't know. I know that was on the list of questions. We talked to my wife, or I talked to my wife a little bit about it. And she said Josh Brolin for Eld, but I'm like he's a little too buff, but that's along the right line. But otherwise, I tried. I could not find anybody that seemed like it would like they'd fit. At least yet. Hopefully one
It's
would
day.
you,
difficult. Yeah.
yeah, would you want it to be like a real life kind of TV or like a cartoon
Oh,
sort of
animated,
adaptation?
yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That's a good question. I think live action probably.
Mm.
Um, I plan to have some fantastic elements to it. It is fantasy, but like not to the degree that would make it better in animation. Because there's a lot of stuff that works much better in animation than it does live action. I think mine is one of the ones that probably would lean more towards the live action side.
Mm.
Cool. It's fun to think about. I like trying to think about that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
same.
One
absolutely.
day. Uh, all right, so we do have a question from JD. How and where do you intend to publish your book? And where would you go after finishing this book? Like, what would be your next project?
Those are very good questions. As far as the actual publishing process, I really can't say I've thought of it much. Just because in other past endeavors, I am very much cart before the horse person.
Mm,
Mm.
So I have to consciously like let's finish something first, and then we'll take it from there. But hopefully, I'm leaning towards hopefully the traditional publishing route, but you never know. And whatever is able to get the most the most reception, for I think that's the word, out of it is the route I'll try to go. And then I'm so sorry, would you be able to repeat the second question?
Yeah, of course. So where would you go after finishing this book? Like, what would your next project be?
Yes. So I like worlds that have multiple sets of stories set within them.
Mm,
So I would probably shift focus away from this part of the world, and write in a different part of the same fantasy world. Um, Possibly a prequel, like long time ago in the same area, something that happened a little bit after in the same area. Kind of see the more classic fantasy, like broad picture, kings and knights and wizards and all that.
mm.
But I haven't really thought too much about the next project. This project in and of itself kind of feels like a lot of little projects stuffed together. So right now it's satisfying the urge to create.
Makes sense. While we're just waiting for people typing, I had a quick question about how
Mhm.
many vignettes are you planning to write for this specific world?
So right now I am planning somewhere between 25 to 40. That might change depending on the length of some of them. I expect some of them to be a decent bit longer than the first chapter, and some of them to probably be a little bit shorter.
Mm,
Um, so depending on that, I'm aiming somewhere around like 400 to 450 pages ish. But if it needs to be less, that works. I'm planning timeline wise for the whole everything to take place over 3 or 4 years. Um, so I want to go into sufficient detail without with minimal time skips without overloading the like. There's this guy. There's this guy. There's this guy. There's this guy.
right,
Mm.
that makes sense. Okay, so we have a couple more questions. So we have, I love your exploring the vignette approach alongside such strong character-driven storytelling. Have you thought about how or if you will weave the vignettes into a cohesive, overarching plot or structure for the book as a whole? Great question.
Yes. So in this first chapter, we have the kind of first hints at the larger conflict, in the form of Eld's like premonition dream. Um, I really like the use of dreams in that sense as like a divinatory tool. Um, now his dream, as far as like premonitions go, is fairly straightforward. Symbol of this kingdom, fighting symbol of this kingdom, etc., etc. But throughout the story, there's going to be a solid mix between, like, as I said, there's going to be people of like all different spectrum socially. So in some chapters, we're going to see decision makers making decisions that directly affect the conflict. And then we're going to see others living the consequences of those decisions that have been made. Not a strict back and forth, but that kind of pattern is something that I'm thinking about.
That's really interesting. And that was a really good question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, I've got even more typing. Oh, this is exciting. I will read the next one. Would you like to explore beyond fantasy, like the cyberpunk genre? In brackets, I know it's a subgenre, but my point still stands.
Um, I think cyberpunk is super, super interesting. It is one of those genres that is there is so much potential for it to come true
Mm.
that it freaks me out a little bit. Um,
Too
I
real,
haven't
too
thought
real.
it is a little bit, and I haven't thought too much personally about writing it, but I do really enjoy it, and it's definitely not off the table. I think now that it's been brought up to me, I think it would actually be really to take a
Mm.
crack at some cyberpunk stuff.
It's always fun going outside of your known genres, I find.
Mm. It's a
So,
No,
nice challenge
absolutely.
to write something you're not used to writing, which is really,
yeah.
it can be really fun.
Mm.
No, absolutely.
We've got JD typing again, so I'm going to ask a silly question. When you write, do you have like snacks and a drink that you have with you? And if so, what are they?
Would you be able to say that one more time?
Sorry, yeah. So when you
No,
write,
you're
do
good.
you have any snacks or drinks that you kind of like
Oh,
have to have with you or that you like to have with you?
yes, coffee or Red Bull or both. I am a caffeine maniac. I also, and this, I so you know how Tootsie Rolls make the like fruity ones, like the lemon, lime, cherry, all those?
I did not know
Uh,
that.
I'm
I
British, I
love
don't know.
it's like oh, it's so good. So I like to munch on those while I'm doing it too. Um,
Mm.
those are cool. Those are good.
Are you just like a regular coffee drinker? Like, is it black coffee? Is it coffee with cream and sugar? What are we talking here?
As milky and sugary as is humanly possible before it would make me sick.
Gotcha.
I'm very
Gotcha.
much the same.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
I love it. It's like
Huh.
30% actual coffee, uh, 60% milk, and then 10% sugar by volume.
And then you're just like sipping Red Bull in between sips of coffee and then Tootsie Rolls.
Exactly.
I
It's not
love
good for
it.
me. Not good for me by any means, but
Hey, if
ooh,
it makes good
it feels
writing,
so
it
good.
makes good writing. That's all that matters.
Yeah, if it works, it
Feels so
works.
good.
Yeah. Uh, all right. I think we are all good. Are okay? Are we good?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Um, so then I will say just before we wrap up, Phipp, is there anything you want to say to the people listening about writing, about your story? Anything?
Yeah,
Go read it.
absolutely. Definitely. If you think, based on what I've said so far, that sounds like something that would be interesting to you, please feel free to read it in the Story of the Month forum. I would be more than happy to, discuss at length anything that you want to discuss regarding it. If you have any feedback, any notes, ideas that you think could be executed better, general pacing, enjoyment, all of that kind of stuff. I always love to hear feedback. I'm always open to constructive criticism. That's how you grow. And
Absolutely.
just thank you all for all the support you've already given, all the notes you've already given. I wouldn't have gotten to the point where is in the space that it is now without the wonderful notes and feedback I've received from members of the server. So thank you all for even wanting to sit with us today and listen to me talk about my story. It means a lot, and I really appreciate all of you.
Oh,
Thank you for doing it. And I just want to say, I don't know if you can see the chat, but JD is giving you some a lot of love right now and saying you'll be George R. R. Martin of our generation. So
oh,
you got lots of
That,
love
that,
coming at you.
that is very, very kind. I hope. I wish. I can't possibly personally. I can't possibly compare myself. He's too good. Too good. But
We have to
I'll
have
try to be one
inspiration
tenth of George R. R. Martin.
though. Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us, all your great questions. This has been really, really fun. And obviously, thank you, Phipp, for doing this. And I'm so happy that you won. That's so great. And everyone go and read all the vignettes and give all the love that you can because it's awesome. And we love writers loving writers. So heck yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening
Thank you.
and joining us.
All right, we are all good. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
Have a great day.
Are we good now? Can I